The face-off. Friday night, Peter Kibazo, David Puko, Richard Baguma, Hassan Caps Fungero, and Charles Wamshana. Hassan.
Yes, please.
Is the police fully resourced, both in human resource and in other resources, financial and otherwise, to be able to deliver us? Because we may be blaming a force when we haven't equipped them to that point. I know David here and Charles have been part of both our internal and external security. And when these guys are not facilitated to the T, we have a problem. Do you resource the police to a level that they should get the most competent, the most equipped, and they can communicate right? Or is this just a result?
They are not tempted.
Is this just a result of a resource envelope that is as thin as where I come from?
You see, there are two problems here. First of all, the issue of resource gap is true when you look at the accommodation and welfare of the police. You go to their barracks, somebody is not comfortable, congested, sleeping with the children, adults, and even if two families are in one place. Okay, this can affect your productivity in office when you never had a well-organized home. And also the pay for the ordinary police officers is low. But this current problem is not because of lack of resources. It's not a matter of resources. It is a matter of capture of the police by a certain force and making the actual institutions of the police not to do their work in regards to procedures as laid down by the policies and the systems of government. This capture is also in other departments. You gave a case where Honorable Sam Kutesa brought a letter just by someone and reading it here. This is part of the connection. In Parliament, by law, the security of Parliament, for example, is supposed to be under the Sergeant at Arms. But you go there, the Sergeant at Arms has been overthrown. There is a super body created and
to ensure your security.
No, but you see, the law says, the Constitution says, the in charge of security in Parliament is the Sergeant at Arms. But the Sergeant at Arms has been overthrown without displacing him from the seat. And this was part of the arrangement which was involved in buying, in the procurement of the security system, which costed billions of shillings here. Where there is money involved, you see the same network going. The same network capturing the state system and making the system not work properly. So what my brother Ramusana was explaining here is simply that. You go to court, you find the same people. Others occupy office, occupy space, but the real people who do the things are different. The DPP, all these networks are there. You cannot solve this problem without dissolving the whole government and creating a new one. This is what I see.
So, to Hassan, the solution is in dissolve government.
Dissolve government, create a new, better system.
Well, but also, I came across this myself in the course of my working. There are people who thought that because I did not come from the Luero Bush War, and I come from Karamoja, so I'm a stranger in this invited space, and therefore I must be fought, undermined. Yes. For example, like the case of Akulo, for example, and therefore those who are well connected try to appeal to their godfathers and godmothers. So what used to help me was definitely that very hard work and my talent, and I would behave like I don't know anything, but I really invested in getting to know the information. And then I come back with my file to the appointing authority and said, sir, is there something that you are doing in this organization that you do not want me to know? Like what? And then you go into the details. Because then the law says for deployment of staff, money, what, equipment, all that, the Director General must know.
Yes.
So once then the president would get to know, he said, is that so? Then I did it. So people try to, because you come from or you are connected to some other people and you think you can undermine. So what I used to help was to unearth this and then say, Mr. President, I should not even be wasting your time because the law puts this squarely in me and I'm going to deal with them in the following manner. But I know that when I move, when I take action, they will run to you. So in case they run to you, you know that for me, I have to sit fully on my chair. Okay? I don't have to sit halfway. And that's my advice to Akulo, to stand our ground, and this thing will collapse. And you'll find you turn the heat on them, and even the appointing authority will not defend them. It becomes too ugly.
You see,
and
David,
me,
hold.
This is how I dealt with mine.
David, hold. because you've given a subjective perspective here that assumes,
For example.
yes, that assumes that actually it is Akulo that is being aged out. Now, when I recall from,
You may not be Akulo.
yes,
It could be somebody else.
when I
Sorry,
recall
should
from
have used
what
that
Richard
example.
Baguma was saying, the problem may not be even at that level. The problem may be access to the top. Because in a structure, here, I should report to my general manager, I should report to my production manager, and then the general manager.
Okay, let
but
me
if I
explain
have
this.
access to the ultimate,
explain this.
and then the chain is broken,
Let me explain
then you are breaking the chain.
Let me
So
explain.
isn't it actually access to HE that is the problem here?
Let me explain this. The conflict within the police, as we see it in the media, there is.
I'm supposing that there
CIID,
is.
Okay, CIID as a boss, and that boss is Akulo, and she reports to the IGP. The IGP reports to the president. Maybe on certain issues,
The PS,
and the PS and the
PS of Internal Affairs.
Then there is now another new animal called SIB,
Yes.
Special Investigation Bureau, which used to be only in the army. Now it has been imported to the police. Now, then you hear that actually a report usually must be signed by head of department if it must be authentic. There must be a seal, there's a way they tie their thing, okay? There's a classification of these reports. So you don't receive, so who signed the other report that Akulo did not sign? That person must be exposed. Who is again running CIID apart from Akulo? Where is the other power center that is developed within the investigative arm? And then which department are these two officers being taken? Because for me, this is a case that has been going on for 2 years. If it is true that some two officers were bribed, why does it take 2 years for those who have been bribed within the force to be acted? Are they super? So is somebody intimidating the head of department? Now, then all of a sudden, you have created a new department called SIB within the police. What is the relationship with the CIID? And therefore,
But
who
it's
is in
handling
charge?
what?
So who is in charge? And then now the spokesperson of the police says, or the IGP says, they have done a fantastic job. You could even say fantabulous, between fantastic and fabulous, okay, for lack of a better word. But let's allow that the meticulous, as he puts it. But meticulous when there's confusion, how can it be meticulous?
Yeah,
When
that's
the case-
what I said,
so-
David.
so the point I'm
Isn't
making-
actually the confusion only a communication
What I
confusion?
read here is that because Akulo has done a job and has signed official one, but Akulo doesn't know that somebody else has been appointed to do exactly her job. And she also gets surprised. So who is this who's undermining? Because there are people who used to undermine me, even using my own deputies. You find they give instructions, but instead of informing me, so how I used to deal with it was to go back to the source of authority with data, with evidence. And then they would all shy away, and I'll be given my space, and I came back and dealt with them so that they don't do it
And what was
again.
the result?
For me, what I could do, I put them in
The
a
result
tube.
is he's seated on this
I
show.
put them. No, come on. It was on my own. It was on my own that I really did not renew my contract. Even when they appointed me ambassador, I refused. Okay, but the point, this is what used to help me, because if you think this Karimojong is a stranger, he's in this invited space. Hey, you're making no mistake. So for
Richard.
me, and I think that's what, if you are my type, that people think they can bring you to invited space and use you to turn the wheel to the direction they want to turn when you know it is wrong.
So,
Turn
so
your
David,
conscience.
David, you are effectively saying that in this case, if there is actually conflict or if there is confusion, it is because
which this
Akulo,
money has created.
yes, it is because possibly Akulo's spine is wobbly.
No, I think by us speaking out, she's telling the public of Uganda.
But you see, the director of CID is not supposed to cry at a press conference
but it
and be
reaches a
addressing me
point.
and saying, you see, things have
think the
collapsed on
minister
me.
can.
If
reaches-
they've collapsed on you,
Minister
either walk to the appointing authority or go home.
And I think she's doing that already. By the time you speak out, don't forget, we'll call her to speak when I was the Director General of External Security. When I opposed that term. It was in Africa.
Because your contract
A
had not yet been signed.
No, come on, a powerful workshop, Chief. I spoke out. Okay? I even questioned. So it is those who have a spine like her who can speak.
Richard,
No, I think
hold on. I have a caller online. Hello. Good evening, Dugu. How are you? Your name, question or comment?
Paul Said Wisho from Kampala.
Yes.
I thank you for the program, but most importantly is Mr. Prikol raised an issue as pertains the difference between the SID now in police and the CIID. And in my view, it looks like, Akulu might have signed that first report, but the second report, because you have very many replicas of departments, you find this is SID, this is CIID, this is special investigations, and so on and so forth. So it is all about acting again, like Mr. Prukul has said. And in my view, as I conclude, I think these people must go back to the drawing board and substantiate which is which, who is supposed to do what, and then you can have all these things sorted out.
Thank you. I'll take the next caller as well. Hello? Okay. Karuhanga Moses says, Romshana barking like a wounded dog. Hello? Did I lose you? Hello? Yes, good evening. Hello? Okay, we lost you. Please don't wait to listen to yourself on the set. Romshana barking like a wounded dog. You mean members of the first family do not have the qualifications to become ministers or members of parliament? Don't confuse people by politicizing police work. You are only sowing seeds of tribalism and hatred, but yes, hello? Yes, good evening. Thank you. Yes, you are only sowing seeds of tribalism and hatred, but because of your failures. Mistakes happen everywhere, where even in your homesteads. Don't politicize police. These are only mistakes. That's Karuhanga. Richard.
Yeah, but there is also another one. I think it's SOU.
Yes, and my friend Sean Mubiru says there is a mess here. You've been captured, and the way things are running is that. Yes, carry on.
I think there is also another one now, the Special Operations Unit. Yeah. And like I said, Dr. Menteji,
and that is the one that they purport is actually doing the work of CIID.
I said Dr. Menteji, because you see, you keep having the veins to your legs cut. Certainly you will bleed to your knees and collapse on yourself. I saw the other day on Nature television, the way they hunt elephants. They go and throw some poison at it with very small needles. Eventually it puts it down. Now, the 165 billion, and I keep telling Ugandans, I keep saying, I would even, during my trainings with my colleagues, the journalists, I keep telling them, you see, it is difficult when you say there is numbness in the population. Because it's 5 billion, 7 billion, but the ordinary mind does not relate to a billion. That's really the challenge we have. And so when you say 165, and there is a Christopher Obey, I always say that the name is the name is interesting. Obey. You need to know the name Obey in full and know where it comes from. It will also be very interesting. Okay. Yeah. But you see, where are the Rangi politicians? Because this is the classic approach. When your daughter is being attacked and you are there sleeping, what are you talking about?
So because of Oloka, the Rangi politicians should cry?
It is not Oloka. We are thinking about Akuro. They will wake up and also defend their own, and life will go on. And this is how it works. There is no way, in my view, you can move 165 billion shillings and the powers that are do not know and are not part or behind or killing an eye. It is impossible in this country. Absolutely. For you who have had some monies transferred to your accounts, who have sold a piece of land and the money is on your account, it will not leave that account. Yeah, the bank asks you, where did you get it from?
Yes.
Can you produce
and we are talking about
165 billion. 165,000 million.
People know it already.
I mean, really. So there has to be a big sacrificial lamb. It probably will be a grace, or there will be enough noise to save grace. There will be another one. That I can promise you. There will be a plethora of inquiries because everybody wants to take. The Fungaroos are going to investigate because they want to squeeze the Obeys to give them a bit. They will squeeze each other and share the bit.
and we will have no files.
By the-
Fungaru, we will have no reports.
By the way,
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. There will be no reports. But you see, if you look at the channel, the way the list was generated from Ministry of Public Service, from there it went to Parliament.
Of the beneficiaries.
Yeah, the process of generating
the pensioners.
the forged names. It went to Parliament. Then, it went to the Central Bank, Bank of Uganda, and then the money was released through the government systems. How do you fail?
the man doesn't get it.
The money is not just stolen by thieves from outside.
Yeah,
This
it's a
was
syndicate.
this is a syndicate arranged.
I-
That's why I call it an organized crime.
There is no.
You cannot have money just moved from here, there, people signing documents without the collaboration of the system inside. So this money was stolen by people in government through an organized crime, and they are just deceiving the public here.
Using
you see,
passwords.
Yes.
I've had that I will continue to have a problem with you calling this a theft. Because you see that our theft, now there is corruption, we need to have another word for this. Mr. Chibazo, if you are entitled to
And
pension,
Chibazo today is figuratively putting on a yellow. I resisted talking about it.
if you are a pensioner, or if you are
Deliberately.
Jesus Christ, if you are entitled to gratuity, there is a lot in terms of procedure that is involved. You have to have your photos there. The bank must have your photos, and there is and it's a,
Administrator General.
yes, and there is a complex process. But for this money to move up to your own account, by the time the bank says that you are a client of that bank and you have an account, you must be genuinely a client.
You can't be a ghost.
So you cannot be a ghost in the bank unless the bank has been involved in this fraud. And my brother, I'm telling you that the financial institutions involved in this are more than one. There is actually a bank that surrendered, said, this is serious, we don't want to get involved in this.
Which bank?
Yes, it's a bank.
Not Green
It's a bank.
Not the
It's a
entire
bank.
bank.
Because we are on TV.
I hear you.
Yeah, we are on TV, and why do we want to have?
Sorry.
Because I want to be
From the
diverted.
newspapers
like,
only,
no,
sorry.
like the way we are diverted by this story. We should have been on a more critical issue than this. Now, then there are.
Pensioners have missed their money.
So
But
it's
they haven't. You see, there are people who are dying. As I speak right now, someone is dying to violence. So you see, we must know who killed Kagezi, Joanne, and we must know why Kagezi was killed.
You see, Charles, Charles, hold on there. You must know who killed Kagezi. You possibly must know who killed the people in Busoga and who attacked
Yes.
in Bwebaja, and possibly even know why Mama kits are not being delivered. But the people that are supposed to execute that mission and deliver that information and ensure that it's credible and where prosecution is supposed to happen are led by
You see-
Grace Akulo.
Yeah, you see-
and Grace Akulo,
Is being undermined.
I don't know whether
There's-
she's
there's
being
a parallel
undermined.
unit now.
Grace Akulo is holding her
No,
head
my-
and crying
How I
and slapping
wished,
her
how I
breast
wished,
and
how I
thighs,
wished,
bwana.
how I wished Mr. Chibazo and the listeners were able to understand my plea. That whereas it's painful to lose money,
165.
and the ones who steal the money, or whichever word we shall get soon, go away with it. I am visualizing a situation where we lose a precious life, and this mafia manipulates the system to have the innocents in prison, to have the innocents incarcerated. Because you see, with this system, they steal the money, the DPP, the courts dismiss the case. You don't have an innocent in jail in lieu of these gangsters. No. But in the case of murder, because of public anger, they are at liberty to pick as many innocents as possible. So we lose people, we have orphans, and at the same time, you have a risk of having very many innocents in jail.
Okay, I'll hold you there because we are going to get out.
So
I'm
in
giving the
instance,
rest of you
all
2
in all,
minutes each.
you-
Two? Do I have as much time? Okay. Charles, conclude.
Yeah, so in essence, there is no problem in relation to this. This thing is organically generated to generate headlines, to divert us.
That's
and
your
or to eliminate or curtail the elements within the system that are about to get us to the truth about this cancer of these surgical operations.
Very briefly, if our caps are 1.5 minutes.
First, the Ugandans watching us, including those who will get the story from others, must know that this is an organized crime and this is not the only case, there are others. The state structures, institutions which are created by law are not functioning the way they should. There are other superstructures created parallel to the ones which are known by the law, and therefore what is running this country is not the government you know, is not the official you know. There are those networks for people connected.
Is that different from anywhere else in the world? You and I know that even when we use, quote unquote, the greatest democracy that is supposed to be, the US, you will have a president and an office, but the real guys with power are beneath the radar.
But this is too much. For Uganda's case, it's too much here. You see, somebody holding up an office, even worst of all in the army, a general, a high-ranking officer, but the one who is saluted, the one who has the powers, is not the one with the pips, is not the one with the red ranks. It is someone down there.
So to you, we are at state capture.
Yeah, the state capture should be dismantled.
David,
we need a new system.
David, your parting shots.
My parting shots is that there are over or about 300 witnesses which would have made this case really successfully prosecuted. But the idea of excluding the bank officials and those who handle this money was such a mistake. And my prayer is that the Court of Appeal finds it in its wisdom, okay, that we revisit this matter, and unless you bring the bank officials and the bank itself back to this case, we will lose this 165 billion, and the truth will be hidden somewhere. Now, either this money, there's politics behind this. This is my own suspicion. It took over 50 billion, or about 50 billion or so, to deliver the last presidential elections victory. But those who were mandated to look for this money could have dug deeper and took more than 50 billion. There is no way, knowing President Museveni, there is no way President Museveni would keep quiet. By now, I'm sure the system knows where this 165 billion went, and that they must be sure that it did not go to fund opponent of President Museveni, even if it was within NRM. Otherwise, heads would be rolling already. Now, either it went to buy land, property, or something, they are satisfied that it went to either well-connected individuals. Otherwise, why this? So this 165 billion is money to get our institutions, like I mapped them, to fight each other and look ugly. Therefore, my appeal to Kale Kaihura, or there is now Kaitera, what is
Kaitera.
Richard,
my appeal to him
Richard,
is that
say your parting shot as you get out of here. I'm giving the cue to get out.
This business of proliferating institutions at a time when they're about to close in on somebody, then you create another one. We will hold you accountable.
Very briefly, Richard,
For me, I think, Chibazi,
where is the money? I need my cut.
now that we are putting hit on this, if there is corrective hit on this story, on this attack on CIID relating to this man, there will be different headlines next week. This one will be run off from. We must have a diversion from the killings and from this money to a more acceptable.
A diversion.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's going to be killing also.
Well, viewers, a pleasure. Always a pleasure to share my Friday nights with you. And of course, you deny me the opportunity to go to the club early.
Not in yellow.
But don't you for putting on a yellow shirt?
Oh, the yellow shirt is actually out of KCC Football Club. I know the results today weren't very sweet.
And Pulkol
But
yellow.
and Pulkol doing blue and you doing the green and white. The chief fundraiser of
Sitting on a red
Mutare,
chair.
the chief fundraiser of Mutare in green and white, and Charles Bomshana in the UPC colors doing very well, and Hassan Caps very cagey with a bit of
blue.
CP here and there. Good night, folks.